Fresling eyed Jessie, checking her out from top to bottom.
"Private Webster, are you well enough to resume your duty?"
"My duty? What the hell is my duty?" "Chill, Jess. Do the bobblehead thing and wait until the guy leaves before trying to figure out what's going on."
"Yes, sir."
At least her new deep voice sounded relatively certain. Nodding, Fresling started to turn. The man beside her saluted, and Jessie followed suit. Throwing a return salute to them, the captain and his entourage started walking back toward... Jessie's eyes flew open as she took in the scene before her. Fort Callahan was no longer a semi-barren landscape. Where there had been ruins, she could see multiple rock-faced structures. Here and there, people were moving about, going about their daily work. Most of them wore the same blue and gray uniform as she did, as the captain and the other two men who'd accompanied him did, as Parrish did. She looked over to the man, who was equally staring at her with that amused smile on his deeply tanned face. "Webster, eh? What do your friends call you?" He held out a hand to shake hers. Jessie obliged. "Jessie." At least she hoped to God her name was still Jessie. If not, she'd pretend it was a nickname. "Martin Parrish. Glad to make your acquaintance." He glanced over her shoulder. "Are you going to be all right getting back up on that mare?" This time she could look behind her at the animal nosing the ground a few feet away. "Yeah, I think so. Thanks for your help." Martin nodded. "Might want to remember to drink lots of water while you're running the perimeter. It helps." She managed to smile. "Thanks. I will. Oh, you might need this, too." He reached down and picked up a rifle, handing it to her. Jessie took the rifle. "Appreciate it." He nodded again, but instead of getting back on his horse, he grabbed the reins and started walking into camp, leading the animal. He never glanced back at her, for which she was grateful. It allowed her to watch the man amble toward the encampment and enjoy the way his pants fit to his butt like a glove. But if she dawdled, there was the chance Captain Fresling would return, and this time she wouldn't get off so easy. Sighing, she went to retrieve her horse. This was going to be a bit tricky, considering the fact that she could count on one finger how many times she'd ridden a horse, and she'd been 7 years old at the time. She shoved the rifle into the long leather holster buckled to the saddle. Taking up the reins, she grabbed the saddle horn and the back rim. Her legs remained unsteady, but she was able to get a boot into the stirrup. Hoisting herself up, she threw a leg over and started to sit when pain erupted in her crotch. Jessie grunted and grabbed herself, standing in the stirrups until the agony subsided. Between the oppressive heat, the smells, the sweat, and the dull throbbing shooting from between her thighs, Jessie knew she could no longer deny the truth. She couldn't be making up something this accurate or this detailed. This reality was too authentic to believe she was dreaming. How she'd gotten here was one question preying on her mind. Why she was here was another. But a more critical explanation was needed before all else could be considered. Her fingers lightly squeezed the evidence between her legs again as she carefully settled into the saddle. The voice, the stubble, and the external genitalia so evident in her hand, she had no way to explain it except to accept it for what it was. She, Jessie Lynn Wharton, 28-year-old history teacher at Matthew Green High School, had miraculously gone back in time to arrive at Fort Callahan in the middle of the 19th century, and somehow during the process she had turned into a man.